So today we're going to be talking about Potomac Conservancy's Growing Native project, and we'll give you some information on how to participate, including running a successful seed collection event. We're going to start off by giving you a bit of background information about Potomac Conservancy. So Potomac Conservancy's mission is to connect people to the Potomac River and safeguard its lands and waters. And the Potomac River runs through the heart of D.C. and is often called the nation's river, and it's considered to be a national treasure. The Potomac watershed is the area that we see here outlined in green, and it covers 15,000 square miles, including all of D.C. and parts of Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. The Potomac River is the second largest tributary to the Chesapeake Bay, following the Susquehanna River. And while the Chesapeake Bay is located in Maryland and Virginia, the Chesapeake Bay watershed encompasses a huge area that stretches from Virginia to New York State, and is about 64,000 square miles. All of the water coming off the land in the blue area that you see here ends up in the Chesapeake Bay. And as the second largest tributary to the Chesapeake Bay, the Potomac River contributes greatly to the health of the bay. So Potomac Conservancy takes a three-pronged approach to protecting the lands and waters of the Potomac River. And those are land protection, policy initiatives, and community conservation and awareness. And that's where the Growing Native project falls. And we're going to touch on each of those just a bit. So our land protection program includes both protection and restoration. Focus on land and not just the water, because we know that all water that hits the land will eventually end up in our waterways. So we work to conserve and protect critical and sensitive areas, many of which are located in the headwaters of the Potomac River, and particularly the Shenandoah Valley and Shenandoah and Frederick counties in Virginia. And this is primarily done through conservation easements, which protect land in perpetuity by restricting the way that the land can be used. We restore lands that have been degraded, often by promoting reforestation, and we work closely with schools in Frederick County, Maryland, to help increase their tree canopy cover, as all trees are often, as when schools are built, all trees are often taken down. And then we educate and partner with private landowners in a variety of different ways and share with them some of the benefits of keeping their land forested for both them and the environment. And finally, we promote best management practices through lots of outreach and tools such as the Good Neighbor Handbook, which you can see here on the right. And we promote regulations and increase conservation funding through our policy programs as well. So the goal of the policy program is to build a powerful constituency to advocate for issues that are important to the health of the river. And we work on the county, state, regional, and federal levels to advance sound land use policies and advocate for a variety of different issues. Some of our focuses at the moment include stormwater regulations and low-impact development. And we've been working recently to protect streamside forests, particularly in crucial or sensitive areas along the river. When trees are removed from a streamside forest, that area becomes highly susceptible to erosion and can contribute mass amounts of sediment to the river, which is really very detrimental. At this time, there are still counties in the Potomac watershed that don't protect their streamside forests, and that's something that Potomac Conservancy is working to change. The cartoon that you see here on the right is from our Fish Mystery campaign, and that campaign is trying to bring light to the intersex fish issue in the Potomac, where we're finding male smallmouth bass displaying certain female traits like eggs. And we believe this is a result of a variety of pollutants entering our waterways and affecting the endocrine systems of the fish. And in an area where about 90% of drinking water comes directly from the river, this is really a very important issue. So now we're going to move on to our community conservation and awareness programs, which is where the Growing Native project falls. People protect what they love, They love what they know, and they know what they experience. And this is really the motto of our community programs. And we're trying to create bonds between the community and the river. We want to give people the opportunity to get outside and experience the river firsthand and really support those relationships. So people who have a personal connection with the river are more likely to advocate for it and to do the right thing. There are several different ways that Potomac Conservancy engages the public. Our largest community program is the Growing Native Project. It's by far our largest volunteer event, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more shortly. Potomac Conservancy has a river center located at Lock 8 in Cabin John, Maryland, on the C&O Canal. We run a variety of different programs from this location, including trash cleanups, invasive plant removals, as invasive species are a huge problem in this area, and recreational events such as nature walks, musical performances by local musicians. We do art shows featuring local artists that have been inspired by the river, and we also do canoe trips, camping trips, and things like that. And we find that giving people the opportunity to recreate along the river is a great way to build their bond with the land and water. We also do some green landscaping as well, which is often in partnership with schools or homeowner associations. So that brings us to the Growing Native Project, which is the focus of today's webinar. The goal of the Growing Native Project is to provide native seedling stock to the state nurseries in the Potomac watershed. Each state has a nursery where they grow native plants for a variety of different uses. And back in 2001, Potomac Conservancy, along with some partners, realized that the nurseries needed help getting seeds to meet their goals. And Growing Native was created in response to that need, and we've been expanding ever since. So here we see the full cycle of the Growing Native Project, and we're going to start over on the left. Volunteers will go out into the watershed to collect native seeds, and some people will hold private collection events with scout troops, schools, corporate groups, families, etc., while others will participate in one of the Conservancy's public seed collection events, like our annual seed collection at Arlington Cemetery, which we just held this past weekend. And then the seeds will be bagged and brought to sites located throughout the watershed, where foresters will pick them up and bring them to the state nurseries. Next, the nurserymen will process and plant the seeds at the nursery, and they'll stay there for about a year. Next, they'll be dug up and replanted along streamside forests throughout the watershed. And finally, the trees will provide us with clean water, and we'll get to that more in just a moment. As I mentioned, the Growing Native Project was started in 2001, so we're now moving onto our second decade and beginning our 11th season. We've had a really positive response from the community and gotten some great results in the last 10 years. We've collected more than 164,000 pounds of native hardwood and shrub seeds. We've engaged nearly 56,000 people in this undertaking, and in turn, they've contributed more than 116,000 hours of their time to help reforest the Potomac watershed. This is a really great program, and it's made a huge impact. On an annual basis, we collect anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 pounds of seeds, and we work with anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 volunteers. And so this year, the Growing Native Project will be taking place from September 17th through October 23rd, and every year it does take place in September and October.